Inevitable, challenging, a mountain we must all climb if we are ever to find peace. And yet, death is not the end. Grief is the beginning.
Just 2 days after the 1st of June, pine with arms brushing off the dew.
Clear Lake, Texas, 2009. Monsoon season has cast its gloomy shade. As the heavens open, a cleansing flood is submerging the land. The torrent both devastates and nourishes its basin in a violent juxtaposition of life and death. Yet, the evergreen pine stoically looms from a steadfast perch as the foliage and wildlife below are swept aside. Indifferent, the pine drinks and grows. Basking in the morning sunlight with an iridescent shimmer, it sways in the calm breeze.
Unlike a sky copious with death, precipitation of heart and head.
Presiding over the surge, a heavy, deep blue sky undulates and turns in a cascade of melancholy. This sunken, cerulean spectre looms over Nathan's head. The serene dawn illustrated in the first 2 lines jars against the despair of this indigo horizon. Something catastrophic has tarnished the beauty of June, casting night over day. It was 2 days after the 1st of June that Hippo campus's guitarist Nathan Stocker's sister was tragically killed in a car accident. Every year, monsoon season precipitates the threat of emptiness and grief. The annual rain heralds a swell of memories dredging a ghost from the deep.
She'd wash the rest of her youth away, carry on with it as she may.
The cascade not only washed away Mackenzie's youth, but also claimed Nathan's naivety. Suffering grief at a tender age is a double-edged sword. Whilst freezing your development and stunting your growth through adolescence, grief can also take the playful exuberance of youth. When exposed to such sudden trauma, it is like being snapped out of a dream or hoisted from the tranquil embrace of a warm ocean. You are an emotional castaway with the pragmatic cynicism of adulthood trapped in the body of a kid. In a sense, 2 youths were claimed by the monsoon. An innocent life was swept downstream, yet the world continued to turn ceaselessly through the seasons. However, as the flood carried young Mackenzie away, like the pine, Nathan carries on. Whilst forever changed, he is not broken. For me, it was fairly simple to embrace the initial feeling. It was not as difficult of a transition as one would think for me. I didn't look at it as grieving. It's just something that ends. I think most of what made it fairly simple to grasp was the family support. Being resolute on the fact that we were not going to let this destroy us as a family, and we're going to endure through the hardship and accept it as the new normal.
But something's pending crevaciously, 'cause summer skin won't agree with me, yeah.
Whilst a literal representation of the mortal threat hurtling towards its inevitable destination, this line also serves as a metaphor for the uncertainty of life and youth in particular. Every road is full of forks, obstacles, and unexpected bends, ready to pull the rug from beneath your feet. Whilst nobody knows what awaits them around the corner, least of all the victims of grief, Nathan will not yield or be suffocated under the weight of this monsoon. People talk about the potential of somebody, the wasted potential, as opposed to the life that somebody has lived, which is interesting. The difference between the way we value potential as compared to the way we value things that are done, it's kind of weird. Everybody has potential, no matter how old or young you are. I don't think there should be bigger trophies for more potential. It's just our human condition to look at the 60+ years that she normally would have had. There is no normal given life. Mulling over the potential destroyed or the life that was not lived is a hiding to misery. As someone who experienced grief at a young age, I fell victim to focusing on what I had lost. The beautiful reality is that the joy the deceased shared in their time is a gift to cherish. Someone you love could perish at any moment, But this is not a reason to fear death and avoid attachment. It is a reason to hold the ones you love as dearly as you possibly can. I celebrate the life she had instead of mourning, and when it comes to being joyful with the things that she did get to do and the things that she did, the impact she had on people around her in such a short time, that trumps the potential that she had. I think she did a lot of stuff in her 18 years.
It should have been me. It should have been me. The pleasure's good as the pleasure sounds. She held shut so my heart can talk loud.
As summertime breaks, sunburned skin marks the end of monsoon season. However, scarred skin does not agree with Nathan, who will not succumb to melancholy. He will continue to enjoy the sunshine and carry on with it as he may, as Mackenzie would have had it been him. For Nathan, music and sound is pleasure. However, with his chin held shut, there is no sound but the thumping of his broken heart. Grief can leave you feeling bereft, and whilst Nathan has come to have a healthy relationship with his trauma, the 14-year-old boy it struck was no doubt shook by this devastating event. I think it's taken a while to understand. I was 14 at the time. Gratitude towards life in general.
I was a mess just like the pool. Day spent crushed out of Sunday school.
In the aftermath of the monsoon, the pool was overflowing and scattered with debris. Similarly, Nathan's heart is overflowing with conflicting emotions. He is scattered like the debris. Nathan grew up in a church-going family. However, this trauma made him question his relationship with God and the nature of his religion. When life turns to shit and a piece of yourself is destroyed without warning, it begs a multitude of existential questions. If there is a God, why would he wish this suffering upon you or anyone else? What did the deceased do to deserve this treatment? Why do good people pass and bad people flourish? Is there any reason behind the random and indiscriminate hand of death?
She said that every living creature on Earth dies alone.
How did that make you feel?
It reminded me of my dog, Callie. She died when I was 8, and she crawled underneath the porch.
To die.
To be alone.
Do you feel alone right now?
I mean, I'd like to believe I'm not, but I've just never seen any proof, so I just don't debate it anymore, you know? It's like I could spend my whole life debating it over and over again, weighing the pros and cons, and in the end, I still wouldn't have any proof, so I just don't debate it anymore. It's absurd.
The search for God is absurd.
It is if everyone dies alone.
Does that scare you?
I don't want to be alone.
July has always been shy of June. Some monsoon, monsoon, monsoon.
Even though July is a day longer than June, to Nathan, July always seems shy to rear its head. Despite the immense mental clarity that Nathan seems to have acquired regarding the subject of his sister's death, he is not impervious to sadness. Every year, he is stricken in June, and the month always seems to outstay its welcome.
Come heavy of a golden hue. My monsoon, monsoon, monsoon.
As the melancholy sky is stained dirt brown by the southwestern monsoon, Nathan can see with generous eyes a golden hue a silver lining. Where once the monsoon represented a dearth of life and conjured feelings of loss and confusion, now Nathan remembers only his sister's life and her golden hue. Nathan has made this monsoon his, and he will cherish it until the end of his days, whenever that might be. I think denial can be really dangerous. People will come up to you and be like, "I'm so sorry, I don't know how I can help you, but if you need anything, I'm here." That's all good, but I want to be able to remember the person instead of acting like they didn't exist. People ask me, "What was Mackenzie like?" or "What was your sister like?" That's more impactful than just being sorry all the time.
Monsoon, monsoon. Monsoon, monsoon. Monsoon, monsoon. Monsoon, monsoon. It should have been me. It should have been me.
I didn't feel the guilt that I'd heard so much about when people die, the "it should have been me" feeling. I felt like I'd been given a chance to expand upon what my sister had already done. For me, it was more that I had felt that I'd been given an opportunity. It's an ability, not something that you have and you just get. Just the way we're wired as humans. Our muscle has to break down to gain muscle. The same thing goes for gratitude. It's not really an attitude, it's more of a practice. It takes maintenance, and it takes time. In terms of practicing gratitude, I don't do anything specific other than being aware. It's not a singular response, it's something that keeps transforming over time. You still have to go through the storm, over and over again.
It should have been me.